Ribs are of course a summer staple, but if you don't have a smoker or if you don't have all day to smoke ribs out on the smoker, then these recipes are for you. Today we're making two of my most popular recipes. It's Instant Pot ribs and country style ribs. The great thing about making ribs, country style or baby back ribs in the Instant Pot is that it is so fast. Everything comes out amazingly tender and fall off the bone, and it's so simple. Here are the things you'll need for the ribs. So first you need a paper towel and a very sharp knife, and then we're going to take the ribs. So I like to use the ribs from Costco, and I kind of portion them out. So I had these in a sandwich bag, and we are going to just trim them up really quick. I like wearing gloves for this. So we'll just take our rack of ribs out of the bag, and then you want to turn them so they are upside down like this. Usually Costco will take this silver skin off, but this batch they didn't. So we are going to peel this silvery layer off the back because it will not cook down, it will not go away. So the easiest way I found to do this is to take a very sharp knife and just slide it under the very first bone. So here we've lifted up one little corner, and then you want the paper towel so it's a little grippy, and you just put it right under and pull. It should come off in one piece, or sometimes it doesn't like that, and I'll just throw this away. Sometimes I have to go in with the knife like this a little bit more. Now what I like to do is just give it a little trim and take off any large chunks of excess fat. Flip it around and do the same thing on the other side. Just trim off any large chunks of fat. Since we're not cooking these low and slow like you would on a smoker, we don't really have time to render down all this fat, so we definitely want to get rid of it. Next, put your favorite dry rub all over the ribs. You can use any type of barbecue rub, or I have a homemade dry rub recipe on my website. Something sweet goes really nicely with ribs. It just complements it very nicely. So season liberally with the rub. And do a little bit on the back. You don't have to do quite as much on the back, because that's mostly where the bones are and you're not eating that, but we like to season everywhere that there's a good amount of meat. Now for serving's ease, I like to cut these before they go in the Instant Pot. You can either do half a rack of ribs per person, or you can do about a third. So I'm just going to take my knife and cut these into thirds. And we'll cut this one in half as well because it's kind of actually a large piece. So we've got 4 pieces, and that is a really nice, decent serving per person. Now that our ribs are prepped, we're going to do the Instant Pot liquids. So start out with 1 cup of apple juice, and you can use apple juice or apple cider. I actually just ran out, so I mixed in about half a cup of apple sauce and added some water to make 1 cup. Next, add 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, and half a tablespoon of liquid smoke. Since we're not using an actual smoker and we won't have that yummy smokiness from that, we're going to add just a little bit of this into the cooking liquid, and that will add that smokiness. If you don't have liquid smoke, then what you can do is just do a little blob of barbecue sauce, and that has a little bit of smokiness in it. Now just swirl it around. To this, add the trivet that came with your Instant Pot, or just something to keep the ribs off the very bottom of the pot. And then we're going to layer our ribs into the pot to allow some airflow. That looks great. What you don't want is them just all stacked together like a stack of pancakes, because then they won't cook evenly. You just want them to kind of have their own room to breathe and to cook. Now, my preferred method is to have all of this cooking liquid, the apple juice, the soy sauce, the dry rub and everything, in a bag overnight, marinated. And that's usually my preferred method, so then they get extra flavor. But if you want to do a quick method like today, then this is just fine. Place your ribs in the Instant Pot. Twist the lid on, make sure the knob is in the sealing position, and these will cook for 45 minutes with a 10-minute natural pressure release. These have been cooking in the Instant Pot, and I will say they do not look extremely pretty when they come out, but this is what they should look like. And I'm going to just put them on a foil-lined baking sheet. And you can either put these in the oven on broil, or you can put them on the grill or a smoker to help kind of tighten up that sauce and get a little bit of a crisp on the finished ribs. This cooking liquid can just be discarded, and now we have our ribs. Now I'm going to baste them with some barbecue sauce of your choice. Doesn't really matter what it is. And at this point, if you have a little bit more rub that you want to put on there, definitely do that as well after you brush the sauce on. I'm gonna go throw these on the grill for about 30 minutes, so then that sauce can tighten up and they can get a little bit of a char on them. But like I said, you can put these in the broiler for about 5 minutes on high or about 8 minutes on low until they get kind of crispy. You can also put them in the air fryer and they will be absolutely delicious. Okay, these are the complete ribs. Look how amazing these look. They took about an hour start to finish, and they are so good. So what I did after they came out of the Instant Pot, I basted them with some barbecue sauce, and then I put them under the broiler for only about 5 minutes. They get a little bit of this char on them, which is so nice. And then I like to do one more basting of sauce, so then they have a little bit of like fresh sticky sauce. And I'm not going to use my fingers, but I'm just going to take some right off of here. Oh my gosh, that looks so good, look. Totally fall apart tender. Those are so good and so easy. Okay, if you want something even easier, next we're going to make the Instant Pot country style ribs, so let's get going on those. Next, we're making country style ribs. Now these are the boneless kind, but you can also get the bone-in kind. The time will stay the same for cooking. Country style ribs are really good because they're usually a really good price, and it's nice not to have to deal with the bones, and they're delicious. So we're gonna take about 4 pounds of country style ribs and add them directly to our Instant Pot liner. And then I'm going to just use a little bit of my favorite dry rub and sprinkle some on to each rib. Since I'm going to be kind of alternating the way that these ribs are placed in the Instant Pot, I want to just make sure that they get a good layer in there of seasoning on each one. If you want to add more flavor to your country style ribs, what you can do is season them and then sear them either in the Instant Pot liner or on the stove. Next, we're going to add 3/4 cup of Dr. Pepper, Coke, root beer, or you can even use apple juice, beer, broth, or wine in place of the soda. We're gonna do just about 3/4 cup in here as our cooking liquid. Next, add about 1/2 cup of your favorite barbecue sauce. You can also use sugar-free, and you can also use sugar-free soda as well if you like to keep it low carb and diabetic friendly. And I rarely measure when I do this. I just kind of throw them all in there, get it in the cooking liquid, and that is literally it. We are going to cook these ribs for 40 minutes with a 15-minute natural pressure release. Now that the country style ribs are out of the Instant Pot, we are going to do the exact same thing we did with the regular ribs. So I'm going to just take them out of the Instant Pot, put them on a foil-lined baking sheet, and then baste them with some barbecue sauce. Next, I'm going to put them in the oven on the high broil setting for about 5-ish minutes, or until they get really nice and crispy and browned and that sauce settles a little bit. Then they come out looking like this. They're crispy, they're golden, they're so tender and delicious. Okay, it's fall apart tender and we're ready to taste it. That is so good. Super smoky, so tender and delicious. Do you want to try it? Sure. You like it? You can find both of these recipes on my website, trytestedandtrue.com. Make sure you watch this video next, and we'll see you next time. Enjoy!